Here we are in the Dead by Daylight Creations Review tab. I'm actually going to go back to the suggestions and feedback. Matchmaking tests. Oh yeah, I forgot. Dead by Daylight just did redo their matchmaking. I can actually tell that I'm roundabouts with people that are sort of around my well, around that rank that I'm at, I should say. Let's see. Looks like the only place to provide feedback is here. And they're doing their test right now, so I actually have some form feedbacks too that I would definitely like to see changed. But I'm not really worried about that at the moment. Well, hey, I just watched that. Mm. Somebody actually like you shouldn't be grabbing hold. See, this is not the way to do this. This isn't the way to do this. I'm gonna go over it and I'm gonna tell you why. So, Oldsdarva's pig video. One, you should get Oldsdarva's video or permission to post this particular thing here. It's rude of you not to. I doubt he cares, but that's rude as hell posting a direct link to his content without his permission. Because you might not want to, you're saying negative shit about him and all of that, and you're being kind of rude. It's different if you're trying to support him in all of this, but this is a direct contradiction. In some cases he agrees with them and all of that, but I'll get in that in a second. This guy says Oats Darva, not Oats Darva, made a video about pig. This video is fresh. It's new. Like literally when I just got done seeing it, I made my video. He's saying that pig has bad chase power and relies on luck on boxes search to turn the tide, and that it isn't fair for the survivors. Yes, pig has bad chase power. The ambush is too easily countered. Well, if you use it right, I wouldn't even say the ambush is too easily countered. Pig has bad chase power if you don't know how to use pig. I mean, any essentially mouse one killer is going to have bad chase power if you don't know the ins and outs and all of that and the tricks and all of that to fool survivors. But if you fool a survivor into going into an area or a position to where you can ambush them and get that hit, our power works very well for that. But if you don't play pig main and all of that, and you don't know the meta, and you haven't talked to the people that play pig all the time, you're gonna have, a hard time doing it. It's like me picking up a new killer I've never played for the first time and then saying that, obviously, Oats Darva's played pig and every other killer in the game. However, he has a spread of playing all the killers. He doesn't just main pig. So yes, his mouse one chases and the regular killer flow he is an expert at, because you have to have that regular killer flow with all the hours and all of that you have. But incorporating powers of killers that he rarely plays, and doesn't main into different scenarios, I wouldn't say that he's, S tier at. Might be A, might be B, depending on the killer is and how much experience and time he has, but not S. So when it comes down to, Pig having bad chase power, which is fine, because remember, you want to either have map pressure, gen pressure, or chase pressure. You want one of the three. So even if she fails at one, she at least excels at another thing, you know what I'm saying? Or she wouldn't be part of the game. The ambush is too easily countered. How so? You lose your tear radius when you're crouching. So if you approach like Ghostface or anybody else, which I mean, granted, Pig's crouch is kind of slow, but she has a dash at the end of it, which makes it slow. If you use that crouch, or if you use, the Trail of Torment or something to where, or Tinker or something that gets rid of your terror radius, you can walk up, get down, ambush, attack a survivor. If you lure a survivor into an area and you zone them properly, you can use your ambush and get a hit or a down. All it is just a speed boost. She kind of charges up and then moves. It's like Wesker from RE5. He charges up and then he runs a short distance. But if you're crouching while, a survivor is literally running around a loop, they're going to panic and probably run from you, making your crouching not worthwhile. But if you zone them to where they can't see you, and then you crouch and set up an ambush and all of that, and you do things properly or put them in a position where after they do a particular action, you can get that zoning and all of that, and you can get that attack in. It's different versus trying to pull off something fancy while you're in chase. It all just comes to, what your brain sees and what you know. Because I guarantee you, even Oats Darva, if he talked to a pigman and played with pigmains and had discussions, he would learn some things about pigs that, he didn't originally know, and some, methodologies and tactics that he can use. Wisdom comes from, experience, some experience gained in the field, some experience gained from being taught, some experience comes from conversation, some from observation. Wisdom is the accumulation of, everything that you've experienced over the years or haven't experienced over the years in some cases. So, you know, your wisdom can always be increased at any given moment. You just got to kind of look for that. The ambush is too easily countered. It is easily countered if you're sloppy on your ambush uses. But I mean, Legion's run is easily countered if they're sloppy about what they do. Even the Plague's vomit is easily countered if they're sloppy about how they use it. So, I mean, you're saying the same thing that happens to everything. Even survivors are easily countered if they're sloppy about what they do. But if you play it efficiently, then you don't really have to worry about that, Yeah, you're going to make mistakes, but you can minimize those mistakes and recover back from them. um, the Subox's searches are unfair to survivors. When they get them off first try, second try, so much is a stretch. The boxes are not unfair to survivors unless the survivors are new to the game. If a survivor knows nothing about pig boxes, and they search every box from the one in front of them to the next one farthest away, to the next one farthest away, to the next one farthest away, it is unfair to them. 100%. because they're not even going to, in the most part, have the option to get that trap off the first couple of boxes that they search. But I mean, you're not supposed to get the traps off of you the first couple of boxes that you search. It's supposed to be a game. You can't have any game like this without the boxes being weighted towards something, making you go basically either halfway to fully across the map to search these boxes as a way to make it to where you don't put a trap on somebody and they immediately get it off, which is bullshit. Honestly, I wish they would have either added more boxes or they made it to where, you had to wait X amount of time or had an add-on that delayed before you can immediately start checking boxes, or had an add-on to make the key just spawn in the farthest box away from the survivor where they are every time. As opposed to RNG doing it that way every time. So yes, if a survivor doesn't know about pig boxes and they search every box from the closest to the farthest away, it is scaled against them. It is unfair against them. Because they only have, like, what? A 15% chance at the end of the day to get one of the first two boxes that are in front of them. That's terrible RNG. Because it's not random. As random as people think it is. Terrible odds. Now, if a survivor is knowledgeable about pig boxes like me and have actually looked into them and seen how broken they are, it is extremely unfair to the pig. Like he says, when they get them off first try slash second try so much, the box searches are mostly unfair to the pig. There it is. The box searches become unfair to the pig when somebody like me actually notices the pattern and all that and, says, hey, there's something odd about this. I've gotten a lot of pig traps on me and they're never in the first or second boxes I search. So then I started testing. And hey, every time I went to the farthest box away from me, the traps came off first trap that I touch. Yes, it's making me go to the opposite side of the map that I'm on. However, I can get the trap off whenever I want. So I'm going to sit there and I'm going to do gens and leave myself enough time to search the last two traps, or the last two farthest boxes, basically. And I know I'm going to get this trap off every time. I'm confident, and I do that, and it works 100% of the time. So then I did some research and looked into how that's done, and it's not an actual RNG. Because if you're not aware, RNG is not true RNG when a computer is doing it for you. If a computer is doing numbers for RNG, it's not actually RNG. It is a random number generator, yes, but you can only get numbers that are programmed into that. If I say pick a number from 1 to 100, and the numbers 44, 48, and 53 are not even programmed into that, that means you have a 0% chance of getting that. So you'll have a 97% chance of success. And if the numbers that go through every time you pick a number, they're programmed to, I don't know, grab every seventh number, and then sixth number, and then fifth number, and then seventh number, then sixth number, and fifth number. Or it picks a specific number in a list that ends with a 7, then a 5, then a 3. It's not pure RNG. If you tell it, hey, pick something between 1 and 10, and then on that scale of 1 to 10, pick something from 1 and 10. That's a little bit more RNG. However, the computer itself is going to have a higher number base because of how computers are programmed and all of that. One's going to be picked higher than the rest of them on average because of the programming and things like that. Computers do have hard stops that they cannot get over. So an RNG is never going to be an RNG when it comes to a computer. You can increase it by having A tab, pick 1 in 10. On that tab, pick 1 in 10. On that tab, pick 1 in 10. And that tag between 1 and 10. On that tab between 1 and 10. But at that time, you have redundant code that has to fire over and over and over and over each time this RNG chance happens. It's fine when it's happening one time, you know, like, hey, he's there. But what happens when you have 4 survivors with 4 traps on them and all of that at the same time, and you're just trapping and trapping and trapping, and all of these RNG rolls and everything is happening? It's going to be undue lag, and there's going to be slowdown each time something rolls. So you have to limit it by doing something, and that's the way that it's implemented. Pig was implemented a long time ago and hasn't really been revisited too much. There's been buffs and nerfs, but the boxes themselves have not been touched for the most part. And that's a problem. So if a survivor is new to the game and they just search boxes as they run across them, they're not going to get the box off and it's scaled against them. If a survivor knows the meta for the pig, then it's unfair to the pig because the survivor knows they can get the box off within the next 2 tries or 2 looks. Occasionally, it'll be the 3rd choice, but it'll never be a 4-box search. Well, I guess like one or 2 times out of 100, it'll be a 4-box search, but like I said, if you die to a trap once every 100 times or twice every 100 times, it's really not that big of a deal, you know what I'm saying? And then keep in mind, if somebody who isn't a pig main drops a survivor when there's 5 generators left and they throw traps on them, they're also throwing away their traps. So, pig only has a limited amount of traps. Obviously, it's the Saw games. There's 4 survivor, there's obviously going to be 4 traps. I'm actually surprised that behavior allowed you to be able to trap the same survivor more than once. Honestly. Because how the Amanda Saw games goes is she traps you, and then generally, even if you escape, she kills you anyway. So after you escape the trap, I'm surprised they even allow you to retrap them, and they don't just allow you to either just straight up mini mori them or mori them in some way, shape, or form or some shit. Or do some other type of crazy shit. Like, I don't know, you're down to the last 4th of your timer. She can just mori you. Because that's kind of what she does. Or if you do escape, you know, you can't put a trap back on that person. I don't know why you ever would, but, you know, I've been in lobbies where I've taken 4 traps, all 4 of this person's traps. Because they trap me and leave me. I'll unbreakable back up, run across the map, take the key off. Soon as I interact with the box, they're over there on my ass, knocking me back down, putting another trap on me. Run to the other side of the map, take the trap off, and they just keep doing that, and I'm called a cheater at the end. And I'm like, is it cheating? I mean, counting cards at a casino is technically cheating. Is knowing where the key going to spawn because they haven't, you know, updated their box RNG and all of that. Is that considered cheating? I'll leave it to you to decide. It shouldn't be down to RNG. It's not. It's really not. Once you know the percentages and where the keys can spawn, pig becomes just a regular killer. I do not fear her reverse bear traps at all. You can put one on me, I will take that shit off immediately and continue trekking. You will not slow me down with the reverse bear trap. Now, if you put a bear trap on me and then tunnel me, like a lot of pigs do to try to get that kill because they can't reliably trust the reverse bear traps, you can get me. Because there's nothing I can do. I know where the key is, but if you don't allow me to go for the key, there's nothing I can do in that particular situation. So, I mean, that shit kind of happens. It should be a set value. It is a set value. You just don't understand. You're not in the know. It is a set value. There are percentages on where the key can spawn. So even though you say it should be a set value and you're complaining about that, it is a set value. I think it should be more RNG based, honestly. But I also don't like the thought of you just doing skill checks to get, the key anyway. Because, I mean, some traps should take longer than others. And I don't think, digging your hand through, needles and all of that, yeah, cool. Sawbox, yeah. But, I mean, skill checks and all of that, I wished it was more like, almost like the wiggle system, something like that. Like, as you dug, you can go for great skill checks, but they change up, or like Sadako's constant skill checks, because you're digging through a thing of needles. And if you miss them, you're like, ow, because, you got stuck by a needle. I wish they would vamp that and not just make it like basically a generator, a very short generator. Every add-on has been reworked around a 4-box search time. Survivors should always have to do 4 boxes. What about box camping? Just make 5-box spawn, easy fix, everyone's happy. 5-box spawn is not an easy fix. Because the only thing you're going to do is make it to where I have to search 3 boxes instead of 2 boxes. That's the only thing you're doing, is adding another equation. Which is why I went through this long, elongated thing in my last video. This guy says box searches should require a number of searches rather than the key being in a certain box. Why? You're getting away from the saw aspect of this, the game aspect of this, the fun aspect of this. If I know I have to search just a specific number of boxes, I'm going to search the first 2 boxes closest to me. And you still have the same thing. You can't make it all 4 boxes because add-ons and shit like that and unfortunate circumstances, but basically once you have the trap on you, the pig just needs to down you and drag you to an opposite side of the map that you've already searched, and you're dead. You don't have enough time for that shit. So you would have pigs with backpack builds. They would hook you or put you in a trap, wait for you to do a box, down you, drag you to the opposite end of the fucking map, and then let you go because you're not going to be able to do the remainder of the 3 traps. And if you somehow manage to do, 3 of them, they're going to intercept you again later on down the road and pull you away from that for you to die. But, people that only see one particular solution to a problem and don't think things through are obviously not the leaders of our society. He says, add another box in. Easy fix, everyone's happy. You only have enough time to search 4 boxes, by the way. So if you do anything extra, you're dead. If you happen to search 4 boxes, and let's say it's actually RNG based, you have a 20% chance of finding a key in each one of those particular boxes. And they don't go off of what they have. You got a 20% chance to die in this situation, and 80% chance to live unless intercepted. Every time you are intercepted by the pig, if we implement my particular fix into this, you would be essentially losing 20% and she would be gaining 20% on her side. So you have a 20% chance to die from start. If she intercepts you, you now have a 40% chance to die. She intercepts you again, that's a 60% chance to die. Again, 80% chance to die. I mean, at that time, all the generators and shit are probably going to be popped because there's cooldown in between intercepts and how she can mess with you. But That's why I implemented that second system to give her a scaling way to increase pressure on you. Now, if they keep it the way they have it, it's going to be one within the first 3 farthest boxes. That's it. So you already have a huge amount of time because we can take 2 boxes out of that equation and you only have 3 to search from. You have enough time to search 4 boxes, so it shouldn't be a problem making the 3, which unless you're intercepted twice, you have a 100% chance of success. If you're not intercepted, or if you're intercepted twice, you lose the ability to search. Now, you'd have to be intercepted 3 times with 5 generators. No, 5, you lose 1. Yeah, if you're intercepted twice, you then lose 20% chance because you're losing 1 generator. Well, you lose 33, I guess, technically, because we're not going to the other generators. So you still have a 66 chance of survival, and if you're intercepted twice, then you can only check 1 generator, and you have a 33% chance of survival. Because you know it's going to be in one of the 3 farthest generators, not the closest ones to you based off behaviors, regular RNG that they wrote it. The boxes should require a certain number of searches rather than being in a certain box. 1 trap will come off first try, 1 trap requires 2, and so on. So you're saying that is so fucking dumb. Then what's the point of even using your first trap? If your first trap that you put on only takes 1 box to get off, then what's the point of it? You might as well throw that shit away at the beginning of the match. Or better yet, what happens if you run the add-on that makes survivors start with traps on them? The first survivor that runs to a particular box gets their trap off. Then the survivor that runs to 2 traps gets their trap off. The survivor that runs the 3 traps gets their trap off. Then the last survivor just needs to go to all 4 boxes before the first generator is completed, unless you run the add-on that starts the dimers. Which I think they changed that, and that's not even a thing anymore. So, I mean, what are you really stopping at that particular point? I mean, yeah, you would make it to where the last trap that you use is basically a kill because after they do any of the boxes, you can just kill them and drag them outside of the map to where they can't do them. Yeah, it's a guaranteed kill, but the 4th survivor that gets a trap on them is just going to DC. They know they're dead. Right then and there. As soon as they get that trap on their head, they know they're fucking dead. That doesn't take out the finding them and all of that. I mean, you might as well run Rancor at that point and just leave the traps alone so you can just kill the last survivor by your own hand. Easy solution to both of these. Just run Rancor. There's your easy kill that you get from that. You don't even have to run Pig. You don't even have to run traps or any of that. Run a different killer in Rancor. There's your counter for the majority of that, especially this one. You guys aren't looking at the actual issues that are going on. It did get a lot of views and a couple of comments, so I think I might actually post here since somebody has already posted. Hello, Galanonim. What's going on? Nice to see you as always, even if for a brief moment. And we're going to type credit to not oats. So, looking at Pig Play by Oats. I've come to the conclusion that a more balanced pig is necessary. These are only suggestions to hopefully inspire more creative ideas. But here they are, done live at my YouTube channel. Please take a view and tell me what you think. It's not completely inspired by oats. I have thought about these pig changes and all of these for quite some time. But, you know, if I can be a scumbag and push Oats' name like the other guy pushed Oats' name and get views, then, hell yeah. I'm gonna post this discussion and use this shit. I'll be a fucking scumbag and essentially a hypocrite at this particular moment. I don't care. And you click on this should link to my YouTube channel. Welcome to another Dead by Daylight review. Wonderful. And hopefully I can get some sort of feedback from behavior of the community, something. Because I mean, I understand where they're coming from, adding boxes and all of that, or adding another system in, but you can't just look at one solution to any problem. There is never one solution to a problem. You're going to have a solution. You're going to have a backup to that solution, a backup to keep that solution from being exploited. And you're going to have to convey a net over everything to ensure that it's a complete, structural foundation. Adding another box, yes, is good, but it's bad on its own. If the code stays the same, the box is going to be bad. Adding an extra box isn't going to matter. It's going to make it to where you search 3 boxes instead of, the 2 boxes. It's not good enough. Making it to where each next trap takes more box searches or essentially more keys to take off. It's just going to assure that the 4th survivor that you hook dies. You have to have some leeway. Does that person get more time to get to these boxes? Are they not able to, be hit by or hurt by the pig while they're searching for boxes? What happens in that interim period? You got to think critically when it comes to that. You can't just say what you think the solution is. As soon as you think you know what the solution is, you have to think about that solution and make sure that your solution doesn't cause additional problems. Anyway, Slenderman Chapter. Pretty sure I actually went over this. A horror legend. I'd politely disagree. He's too tall for doors in DBD. This is correct. That doesn't stop him in this game. He can just teleport right in. Yes and no. Slenderman does walk, albeit rarely. But, if you have this tall killer, aka the Slenderman, and you're inside of a building, you're gonna have a hell of a goddamn time seeing what the hell's going on. I'm just gonna throw that out there. There's nothing here. There actually is no concept. There's a survivor with perks and all of that, but there's no concept for the actual Slenderman. So let's change this to Slenderman, from Slenderman Chapter to I'm going to incorporate some more perks or a new survivor. What the hell is scopathesia? You have built an extrasensory phenomenon to perceive when you are being watched. Whenever the killer looks in your direction for 3 seconds, the killer's aura is revealed to you for 2 seconds. Object of obsession already exists. Every 30 seconds, you and the killer can see each other, and spine chill is a thing. So, no. Both of those perks completely encompass all of that. You're not gonna. Plus, there's also a key with the add-on that allows you to see the killer's aura, inexpensive, great use of the energy of the key. Just double the usage, by the way. So, no. Any and all ways that you could probably incorporate this particular perk has already been blown out by something else. Plus, you have empathy you can use as well. If a survivor is being chased and gets hit by a killer, you'll know exactly where the killer is because they'll be chasing said survivor. Anyway, Pat's not bargain. Your devotion to your companions knows no end. Pulling you down, Pat's not bargain. Whenever you hook a survivor, unhook a survivor, my eyes. Whenever you unhook a survivor, you do so silently and the killer will not be notified for the next 6 seconds. You and the unhooked survivor will not alert the killer of any rushed actions. This is literally a perk pulled from somebody else's creation. That is disgraceful. Word for word. Literally stolen from somebody else's creation that I've done in the past. That is so shameful. How dare you take somebody else's perk? Self-reliant. Despite being alone and afraid, you remain strong. After escaping a chase, Self-Reliant gains a token. Upon reaching 3 tokens, your next stun on the killer will activate Self-Reliant. Consume. This is another perk that's stolen. Probably from that same person, but this is stolen from somebody else's creation. Both of these perks are stolen. I've never seen this one before, but it's not very well implemented anyway. But these two I've seen before in the past. That's shameful. Shouldn't be pulling off people's perks. At least give them credit for their perks. That's so shameful. Kandarian Demon, alternative perks. Edit number 2. At least I know you edited something. Oh, I checked the pig part of this video. Haven't played for a while, but I heard that the pigs are camping now. 1 of 4 jigsaw boxes. Yep. That becomes the meta. That is the meta. And it's sad that they can't rely on their actual jigs or their reverse bear traps to actually get that kill. Or at least push a survivor into a corner. It's sad. But I mean, that's what the ambush power is for you to be able to just wait and ambush a survivor that's going to something or doing something. That is Parasol lore. But it's just a shame that, you take a survivor down, you put a trap on, and by the time that survivor gets done searching, you have to have had to have downed another survivor and hooked them. Then you go and camp the box, try to get that survivor back down, hook them again, while pressuring the gens and everything else as the pig. Like, you need to get a lot of things done at one time in order to really excel with the pig. Yeah, it's just a shame. um, Hemokinesis. Again, that's the same as hemorrhage, essentially. I mean, yeah, the blood splatter being increased in size is slightly different. However, if you can't see the already huge blood splatter on the ground, which by the way is textured appropriately so that They don't have to texture it to be on walls and crap like that. That's why you don't want to widen this. I didn't say this the last time I went through this, because I thought it was somewhat obvious. If you've ever seen the blood splatter and the line and all of that that goes through doors and all of that, it's perfectly textured as to where it goes between the door and sits a little bit off the frame, so they don't have to have any type of overlapping textures and things like that. That's one of the reasons why you don't want to increase the size of it. Because if you're bleeding near objects or anything like that, you're going to have this texture that's super wide going into other textures and things like that, which could create bugs and all kinds of other things. The blood spatter size is perfectly wide enough to where if you run through a pallet, run through a door, vault the window, get in a locker, that it sits perfectly, textured like that. Wraith has a perk that makes them more visible. You would want them to be more visible than wider, because being wider, I don't see how that helps you benefit in any way. Hemorrhage makes them bleed more, so they leave more blood on the ground. Leaving more blood on the ground makes it easier to see. I don't know why making the size wider helps you, or how it helps you in any way. You shouldn't need something to be bigger. You shouldn't want to change the texture itself to try and see the texture more. You're just making them, do more. Dropping the texture or having the texture drop more isn't an issue. Making the texture brighter isn't an issue. It's just a simple command. You run that perk, all blood in there, its opacity is its brightness is increased. Simple. Simple command. You toggle it off, turn it off. Hemorrhage. You just increase the amount survivors bleed on hit. You just turn that up a little bit. Once it turns off, you put in the command, it turns it down. Increasing the size of that is going to cause issues, because one, they're going to have to go through and do everything, and they're going to have to make the textures that don't line up with walls appropriately go up the walls and all of that. That's going to be a pain in the ass. Fly in. When a survivor becomes exposed, vaulting speed becomes 50% faster. The effect stacks up to 4. I mean, do I need to say how bad that is? 50% faster, and you can stack all the way up to 200% vault speed. Need I say more? 50% vault speed and 200% vault speed. Keep in mind that spine chill, like what, 8% increase of vault speed or whatever it is, it's very minor, is more than enough to vault and, make those vaults without the killer clipping you in the back. Is more than enough. And you're giving us a 50% faster vault? If you vault 50% faster, imagine that run and vault animation happening faster. So by the time your character is halfway through the window, they'd already be touching the ground, essentially. Yeah. Even a few percentages are super helpful. Exactly. And they're wanting to go 200% of that. That's insane. Even 50% is insane. Even 20% is insane. You don't need that much. This is just bad by design. That's why I kind of wish there was some sort of way for you to design and test things, I'm not exactly console commands, because, that's exploitable by scripters and all of that. But a way to where you can just go into a private LAN match with your friends and tweak values, so you can test these things. Because I would love if I could just had an extra, either if it's part of like the public test beta that's separate from the main servers, or if it's only, private matches that you have, settings and all of that, where you can make the killer super fast, or you can make things have longer cooldowns or things so you can test things. That would be fun. Because I would go in and test these things just to show people how ridiculous it is. I would make a list of things, add them to the list, and once the list gets decent, I would go into a match and I would show you how ridiculous these things look. I'd have like Macho or somebody join the match with me, and we would test them all and show and prove that you're crazy and what all of these values are. Because I guess that's what Dead by Daylight's missing, is custom matches. They don't make custom matches fairly, customizable. A custom match, you get all the add-ons and all of that, for all the killers that you own. Cool. But what if I want to change things and I want to make things goofy? What if I want to make the survivors run faster or run slower? Or, what if I want to make the killer run slower or faster? What if I want it to experience, Huntress at 4.6 meters per second instead? What if we wanted to test items and things and see what would happen if they had more durability or infinite durability? Theory craft things, test things, etc., etc. Having a customization option would be very helpful and very cool for the game. That's one of the things that I like about Rocket League. I can go into Rocket League and break the game with all the dumb settings that they have in there. I appreciate games like that. I don't have to play the standard game with my friends. I can play whatever I want. I bought the game. Let me do what I want with it, you know what I'm saying? Within reason. Anyway, item manipulation. When the perk is active, all survivors within 24-meter radius suffer from lock status effect. 24-meter radius of what? The hex totem or the killer? Or lockers? Or what? What meter radius from what? What are we talking about? Locked would be a new status effect that would turn the charge meter on items red, making them unusable. I mean, that would be nice if I knew what exactly you were talking about. You know? I kinda sort of prefer making them use their charges up faster when, I'm nearby though. So if somebody does try to flashlight stun me or save their buddy, their charges get burnt up really quick and I don't have to deal with that. But I mean, stopping them from being able to use their items. Franklin's demise works very good with that because you can make them drop their item and it eats their charges. So locking their item, again, is it 24 meters within the totem or is it 24 meters from the killer? If it's 24 meters within the totem, if you get a crap totem spawn, then ooh, whoops. You're kinda done. But if you get like a god totem spawn, then, survivors are kinda screwed. If there was to be a lock status effect, it would be something that doesn't last for very long. For example, if you were pallet stunned, survivor that stuns you gets like a 5-second lock status effect to keep you from being flashlight blind after being pallet stunned. Or if you're picking up a survivor, all survivors within X amount of meters, have their items locked so you can't flashlight save them. You have to, body block and do things like that. But that's just, to cover you so to where you're moving. After you're moving, you shouldn't have to be the ability to lock their items. But it'll save you during, your animations. When you're vaulting windows and things, you can't get flashlight blinded while that's happening. That'll be about the extent of a lock status effect. Version 2. When the killer picks up a survivor, all survivors suffer from the lock status effect for 30 seconds. Again, you just want to cover the animation. You don't want to lock them and prevent them from making any saves at all. You just want to prevent them from being able to catch you in your animation of when you're picking up. Afterwards, it becomes a cat and mouse game. You're trying to protect your vulnerability there, not prevent them from doing anything to save that survivor. Franklin's Demise does that, and you have to work for it. You have to physically knock the item out of their hand. So if they drop their item on the ground before you hit them, Franklin's don't work. Version 1 of that, the chest in the basement has become cursed. The basement chest takes 1.25 longer to open. When the basement chest is open, black goo launches out of it, damaging the survivor. No items will be in the chest. Why just the basement? Why just the basement chest? Version 2, the basement chest holds an ancient artifact belonging to the Kandarian demon. The basement chest takes 3 times longer to open. The basement chest will contain a skeleton key. That is very, very old Dead by Daylight, by the way. The basement used to almost always contain a skeleton key back in old school Dead by Daylight. Almost always. It wasn't a guaranteed, but it was a very high spawn that you found one in there. The aura of the survivor opening the chest will be revealed. Chest is open. Loud audio cue. If the key is inside or outside the chest, the key's aura is revealed. Survivors holding the key will be revealed to the killer. Territorial imperative makes it the where if you're essentially within your terror radius to the basement and somebody's in it, you get an audio cue. So instead of making another perk that has to do things with that, just buff territorial imperative. We don't need another perk for that. Just say buff territorial imperative. End of story. Fixes problems. There you go. This is the original I went over, but I want the new to go away. So, well, did I go over this or did I skip over it? I don't know. It don't seem to be that long, so even if I did skip over it or didn't skip over it, I'm not missing much. This is old. Oh, it's the ice cream man. You gotta be careful when you use the title The Candy Man. There's a lot of The Candy Man. Oh, no, never mind. This is the same guy with the bees and all of that. That's just somebody's picture that they posted. Yeah, I went over this a long time ago. With the bees and the mirrors and all of that. Yeah. Headless Horseman. I mean, good luck making anything that has to do with Ichabod Crane and all of that. Again, that sold millions of fucking dollars. That book, it's in schools, it's being read. You're probably not gonna get a cheap contract for that killer. I'm sorry to tell you that. Headless Horseman. Keeping with all this Headless Horseman hype, I haven't. I'm unaware of this Headless Horseman hype. I came up with perk ideas for these characters. What do you think of these perks? Spoiler, I'm not giving them 3 new meta shaker perks. These perks are simply meant to fit niches. Gotcha. I guess the Durahan, or Dulan, whichever one you prefer, or where you're from. But a Durahan isn't technically a headless horseman. They are different. But anyway, I thought I'd last more, but I'm too sleepy. If you're tired, just feel free to go to bed. I said, there's my video. Aren't going anywhere for a long time. I should finally post next week concept that I had in mind for months. Nice. I look forward to it. See ya. Make sure you get some proper sleep, eat well, etc., etc. Alright. Ichabod Crane's perks. Stuffed. Apparently Ichabod Crane got stuffed. You have a huge appetite and eat to your heart's content. It takes the killer 10% longer to lift you up from the dying state to carried. Does not apply to interruption and locker grabs. Then what's the point? If it doesn't apply to all types of grabs, what's the point? Also, this perk is going to be detrimental to flashlight users because everybody has sort of a roundabout timer to pick up or to get flashlight saves. If you're slower and lifting up, their flashlight saves are not going to be properly timed and it's going to be for naught. The killer's movement speed while carrying you is reduced by 9%. If you break out of the killer's grasp, you will become broken for 60 seconds and hindered for 5 seconds. Why? So you're saying that this person's a glutton, they're fat, they're big boned, whatever you want to say. One, their movement speed should be decreased by base. So, I mean, in exchange for grabs being picked up and all the other actions that the killer has. You should be either your action speeds, like vaulting, should be slower, or you can make it to where movement speeds, like 0.1 slower or something. In order for the 10% longer to lift you up, 10% on lockers and grabs, the movement speed of the killer while carrying you being decreased, and all of that. If you break up from the killer's grasp, you definitely shouldn't become broken. Because, I mean, decisive is a thing that lets you get down scot-free, and there's no broken status effect or anything like that. You just become the obsession. So, I don't understand why you would get broken for this. This perk does not really help you any when it comes to wiggling out of the killer's grasp. If anything, you're so fat, the killer shouldn't even be able to swing their weapon or some crazy shit. Obviously, no, don't do that. But I mean, the killer should be like, basically like, I think the perk's called, not breakout, boil over. It should be like boil over. The killer should wiggle a lot more. You wiggling out should be faster. The carry speed of the killer should be decreased. But again, you should have your action speeds and movement speeds decreased as well because of that. So you're just this chubby guy that has decreased stats but is hard as hell to hook. So the time it takes to kick out should be less and all of that. But then on the upper end, you suffer movement speed or action speed because of that. What I would like is specifically a runner perk that makes it to where generators take twice as long for you to do, but you get some sort of huge push on the killer, like an extra decisive or something stupid like that, you know? Something that just benefits you on the opposite end. I'm not saying give them an extra decisive, but I'm saying give them something, comparable of power, because gens take twice as long for them to do. They got to take 160 seconds on a gen because it's specifically a runner perk. You are running this perk because you want to run the killer all game. So something that'll help you out that has equivalent value of not doing gens. I would love to see a perk like that implemented properly. Gallantry. You enjoy presenting yourself at your best. While healthy, you can heal other survivors 50% faster and will reveal your aura to them and see theirs within 16 meters. Yoichi, I believe, has a perk that does something similar to that. As long as you don't get hooked, your tokens don't reset. I went over that the other day. And you have other perks that increase heal speed and med kits and everything else. So there's no reason for any of them to be a thing. So gallantry, unfortunately, isn't going to work in this particular situation. Rumpa Man, you discourage all sorts of rudeness when you are hit by a killer's basic attack and are within 8 meters of other survivors. The amount of time it takes the killer to recover from their successful hit is increased 3 seconds. There's already like a 3-second wait. You're going to make them wait another 3 seconds. So essentially, if you're in a Survive with Friends gank squad and you're the killer and they're all running this, you realize that that's going to stack, right? You're going to hit one of them and then you're not going to be able to swing again, so they're just going to body block the absolute dog shit out of you. No. Absolutely not. Now you could make it like Duck Duck Goose's Gravy Goose. If the killer tries to hit you and you're around another survivor, they take the damage or the hit instead. You could do some low-key things like that. Obviously, it can't be implemented like that because that's just Troll City waiting to happen. But, that's just sort of like an idea of something that you could use and implement. Headless Horseman. Upon beginning a chase with a healthy survivor, you gain a 10% haste for 4 seconds. 10% haste on a 4.6 meters per second survivor is 0.46 on top of that. You're going to be moving over 5 meters per second for 4 seconds. That might not seem like much, but that survivor's cheeks are basically clapped. It's essentially giving you your first hit. I don't know what the Headless Horseman actual power and all of that is, so if his perks ends up being his power, that's different. But if the Headless Horseman that you have in mind has its own power set and meets one of the criteria that needs to be filled, map pressure, gen pressure, chase pressure, then no, this perk cannot, it's not good. Then we add something like Bubba with this perk that can just rev his fucking chainsaw and immediately knock down survivors. Which I think this is what the equivalent is. This guy's probably like a Bubba main, and he's making a bullshit ass, half-assed, no killer included, really, concept to try and buff his Bubba, low-key. This is where I think we're going with this. Second perk. After kicking a generator, you gain 15% haste bonus and are granted the undetectable status effect for 10 seconds. Again, helps Bubba. Obviously, you don't need haste and you don't need undetectable status effect together. That is ridiculous. And that speed is dumb. Hex, whipping prod. The brutal attacks savagely abuse your victims. One of the dull totems on the map becomes a hex. Well, nah, shit, it's a hex. While injuring a survivor with your basic attack, the amount of time that they gain a bonus of movement is reduced by 25%. You realize the reason the survivors get the enhanced movement after getting hit is so they can get away from the killer and make this fair. If you reduce the amount of distance the survivor can get from that killer, you're essentially just allowing the killer to keep continuously chaining and tunneling survivors. Not good. If you want to do something like this, it needs to be a hex totem perk. And this hex totem perk better be hard to get tokens from. Like, you would need to, like, do some crazy ass off the wall shit to get a token for this. Because this is extremely powerful. Also, do not put they gain and then immediately meet that with reduced. It makes it very difficult to understand. I know what you're saying, but it makes it very difficult to understand. I am going to take a momentary break. My stomach is growling. Give me 1 second. Alright. Jeff the Killer concept. I'm not doing that. I don't even know why people are still talking about this. Jeff the Killer. Jeff the Killer. Jeff the Killer. Jeff the Killer. Definitely ain't doing it now. Um. Where am I at? I'm at an hour. I'm actually going to end the stream here for now. I think I got a lot of content out. If you see this video, please go and visit the last pig video and tell me what you think about that particular topic that I listed. Very interested indeed. Either way, I am out for the day. As always, supplement your lifestyle, and I will see you next time. Might play Fortress something here later on, not entirely sure. Peace.